I know Makes Outlaw is here. He's live right now. But you guys got to hear this. If you haven't heard this one, this is really good. I'm going to shut up for the most part. This is Dr. Orion Terraban, psych-hacks guy. And he's fucking serious. He gets it. So let's listen. If I could do that. Whoa. I don't want to end stream. No. I want to go to the here. Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm Dr. Orion Terraban, and this is Psych-Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is the plow horse. Personally and professionally, I've had the opportunity to observe hundreds of marriages up close. And I would say that after all I've seen, I could count on one hand the number of relationships that I wouldn't mind being in, and there was no man, not a single one, with whom I would want to change places. Now, I understand that relationships can look very different from the outside than they do from the inside, and that ultimately it's for the two people in the relationship, and only those people, to decide whether their relationship is sufficiently beneficial to endure. However, despite these qualifiers, I couldn't help but feel that my observation was fairly damning of the institution of marriage to some degree. And that got me thinking, what was it about these relationships that I found so off-putting? And the answer that I came up with is that the men in question just seemed so fucking whipped. Like they were so toothless and tame. Their wives became their bosses. Happy wife, happy life. It was just work, family, ad infinitum. Their lives got so small. Their freedom was non-existent. And they often seemed like shadows of their former selves. Like wild animals that had been shut up in a zoo, they seemed weak and listless and stressed. Many years ago, while climbing Boundary Peak, the highest point in Nevada, I came across a herd of wild mustangs in the high sage. Against the rugged backdrop of the snow-covered mountains, the animals looked so strong and healthy and free. It was one of the most beautiful sights I have ever seen. I could not imagine any one of those horses preferring the bit and the bridle to a life on the open range. And yet, in the world today, so many horses are yoked and harnessed. They are hitched to plows and made to carry the burdens of others. They are equipped with blinders so that they only see the task before them. They are gelded, castrated, to make them more tractable. And they are whipped when their drivers are displeased with their efforts. The life of a plow horse is not a happy one. He exists to serve the needs of his owner. Too often, this is what I see when I look at married men. I see horses in harness. When I speak to them, they generally don't understand how this happened. They remember their Mustang days. When they got married, they didn't think they were signing up for the yoke. They thought their girlfriend would stay their girlfriend, which is why they married her. They think their marriages are flawed and often ask how to fix them. However, I have to respectfully disagree with these men. Their marriages are not necessarily flawed. The life of a married man is the life of a plow horse. This is not a flaw. This is a feature. This is by design. Why do you think they call it getting hitched? Marriage is a commitment to make a woman the primary beneficiary of your labor for the rest of your life. That's what it is designed to do. And when this occurs, it is working properly. Let's examine this more closely. Consider the traditional duties of the husband: to protect, to provide, and to forswear all others. That's an ideal husband, right? Now, imagine we not only prioritized these duties, we optimized them. That, the optimization of the traditional duties of the husband, is the life of a plow horse. For instance, if we were to optimize for sexual exclusivity, like if we were to make it impossible for the man to have any other women in his life, what would you do? Well, you would definitely take up all of his free time. You would insist that he not follow other women on social media. You would prevent him from seeing his unmarried friends and strictly forbid time alone with other women. And while you might not literally castrate him, you would symbolically do so by monopolizing his sexuality and then withholding it, which is what transforms sex from an act of intimacy and pleasure and connection into a carrot on a stick to keep the man working. That's how you would optimize for sexual exclusivity. That's not marriage done wrong. That's marriage done right under traditional social expectations. And on some level, that might be for the best. Like, if a man wants to remain exclusive to one woman, why wouldn't he cut off all other women, real or virtual? What could those women be other than a source of frustration or a temptation down a slippery slope? In any case, nothing good could come from it, so just cut them off. If you appreciate the insights on this channel, I would highly encourage you to get your hands on a copy of my book, The Value of Others. Over the course of 432 pages, I delve deep into my economic model of relationships and explain the behavior of both men and women in the game of mating and dating. I also provide a lot of actionable advice on how to get and keep more of what you want in the sexual marketplace. Once you read The Value of Others, you'll never look at relationships the same way again. Now available in ebook, audiobook, and paperback formats. The links are in the description. All right, let's keep this up. What would you do if you wanted to optimize for provision? That's easy. You would ensure the man has just enough rest for his body and mind to recuperate for tomorrow's labor. His leisure and pleasure and enjoyment are irrelevant. He is a beast of burden. Beasts of burden aren't allowed to cavort in the meadow with their friends or to nap in the shade when there is work to be done. Both would be wasteful misallocations of his energy toward unproductive ends. He is afforded just enough relaxation to prevent injury, burnout, or divorce, so that he might remain productive for as long as possible. And this is why women and wives in general are much more likely to tolerate certain forms of male leisure than others. It's simple. The more a woman understands that a given activity might indirectly benefit her, the more she is willing to tolerate a man's enjoyment of that activity. This is why, for instance, women are much more willing to tolerate men playing golf, which is associated with networking and negotiations, than, say, playing video games. Most women hate video games. They reserve their most shaming, denunciatory language for men who play them. And they hate them because there is nothing in video games, directly or indirectly, from which women might benefit. So it is a selfish and wasteful use of time and energy, irrespective of how much the man in question derives pleasure or connection from the activity. And this, of course, is what transforms women into complaining nags. It's not the natural inclination of any animal to work itself to death. It must be whipped into shape. Just like it's the owner, not the horse, who gets to decide when the horse is sufficiently rested, it's for the wife to whip the husband back into the harness when she decides he could be more productive. And if a man is unfortunate to lose access to the source of his provision by saying, complaining nags. It's not the natural inclination of any animal to work itself to death. It must be whipped into shape. Just like it's the owner, not the horse, who gets to decide when the horse is sufficiently rested, it's for the wife to whip the husband back into the harness when she decides it must be whipped into shape. Just like it's the owner, not the horse, who gets to decide when the horse is sufficiently rested, it's for the wife to whip the husband back into the harness sufficiently rested. It's for the wife to whip the husband back into the harness when she decides he could be more productive. And if a man is unfortunate to lose access to the source of his provision by, say, losing his job, it's unlikely the woman will long stay to support him. Like a farm owner, she just secures another horse, one ready and able to work, and disposes of the first as discreet. One ready and able to work, she just secures another horse, one ready and able to work, and disposes of the first as discreetly as possible. Ready and able to work, and disposes of the first as discreetly as possible. That's how you would optimize for provision. Again, that's not marriage done wrong. That's marriage done right. That's what's supposed to happen. And finally, protection. How would you optimize for protection? You already know the answer. The man is expected to sacrifice himself, both literally and figuratively, when necessary for the good of the woman. Plow horses don't retire. They die in harness, ensuring the survival and well-being of those they leave behind for as long as possible. And perhaps after their deaths, they are shipped off to the glue factory to render one final act of service to their owners. That's how you would optimize for protection. It sounds terrible, but you will always put something less valuable between you and harm's way to protect yourself. You wouldn't use something more valuable as a buffer, would you? Like, no one is going to take a bullet for a horse, is she? As I discussed in The Disposable Man, some lives are worth more than others. And the institution of marriage and the intersexual dynamics that it represents is one of the most pervasive ways in which this inequality is perpetuated in the modern day. Again, this is not marriage done wrong. This is marriage done right. So it is important for men to go into this relationship with their eyes wide open. Optimizing for protection, provision, and sexual exclusivity has the plow horse as its logical endpoint. This is not an accident. This is purposeful and intentional. This is what is supposed to happen. Why men continue to sign up for this, why they leave the open range for the stable, is something that I'll discuss in a future episode. But I think that's enough for today. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Let me know in the comments below. And please, come on, guys, send this episode to someone who you think might benefit from its message. I know you know someone, because it's word of mouth referrals like this that really help to make the channel grow. Also, anyone looking to join my free weekly newsletter or book a paid one-on-one consultation with me can do so on my website. There's also my book, The Value of Others, in which I explore the economic model of relationships, and my member community, The Captain's Quarters, in which I host bi-monthly group consultations and Q&A sessions with invited guests. The links to everything are in the description below. Check them out. There's a lot of good value there. As always, I appreciate your support, and thank you for listening.